I make this selling securities video really short or on its own because it's typically something that students will struggle with a bit. There's a lot of moving pieces. Just remember that, to really think it through, think about the process of what you're doing, what accounts you have to get rid of, and in order to frame your thought pattern. Don't memorize it because there are a lot of different steps here. So when debt is sold, it's going to be sold for the fair market value of the security, which we already discussed is set by the market rate of interest on the day of sale. So the market rate will rise or fall. As market rates rise, then the price of debt falls, so that the price of your investment falls. So you're probably going to be selling it most likely after interest rates fall, which will cause the price of debt investments to rise. So it's based on that market value and any interest that has accrued from the prior interest payment up to the day of sale. Okay, so for example, if I sold it in August and the interest payment happened in December 31st of the last year, whoever bought this, whoever I sell this security to, is going to have to pay me the market price of the security, and on top of that, any accrued interest from January 1st to August, the date of sale. So the cash that I'm going to get on the day of sale is the fair market value of the debt security and all of this interest. And the fair market value of the debt security is just the present value of the cash flows at the date of the prevailing market rate. So in this way, it's going to be very similar to what the repurchase price of debt is. Remember when we looked at a debt retirement, we said, well, do we want to take the call option or do we want to purchase it on the market? If we purchase it on the market, we're going to be paying the market price. Well, what did we do to find that market price? We took the present value of cash flows at the prevailing market rate. We're just accounting for the opposite side of a debt retirement in essence. So a lot of that intuition from the theory of what we're doing spills over into this transaction. So why does that make sense? Again, it makes sense for the same reason that it has to be paid with the coupon payment in mind. For example, if I took an extreme example, if I pay interest on March 1st, right, on whatever security, we buy that security on February 28th. We're only going to hold that security for one day, but we will receive the entire interest payment on March 1st, even though we only held it for one day, but we don't deserve it, right? We don't deserve it. So in order to correct for that, what's going to happen is we're going to pay an entire year's of interest when we buy the security, because then tomorrow on March 1st, they're going to pay us that coupon payment. And so we'll come out exactly where we should be with no interest earned for holding it just a day, even though we get the cash from the coupon payment. Okay. So when we sell an investment prior to the maturity, we have to amortize the discount or premium up to the date of sell by accruing the interest revenue and interest receivable. So this is just making sure that our investment is at the appropriate carrying value. Remember, whenever you're doing an assessment of the carrying value versus its market value, you have to have them at the same date, in this case, the date of sell. So you want to match the dates of the market value and the carrying value for analysis. So when you're selling it, remember, you got to remove the historical cost of the investment. The historical cost is kind of misleading in terms of being a face value more than historical cost, right? We want to remove the remaining amount of discount or premium. Just like when we sell a fixed asset, we want to get rid of the accumulated depreciation. When we sell an investment, we get rid of the investment account. Well, then there's no reason to have a discount or a premium account. Any interest receivable that was accrued, that's when we are accruing interest to the day of sale. And any value of the sell price over or under these items is going to be the gain or the loss. Okay. If you're not using a portfolio method to account for your securities, we'll talk about a portfolio method when we get done with equity investments. Then you're also going to want to reverse any unrealized gain or loss. in a separate transaction to set the fair value adjustment account to zero for that security. Okay. So like I said, a lot of moving pieces. It helps to really think through the process, think about what accounts are involved. So when you're doing this, first thing first, we sell them on March 1st. We want to make sure that we accrue the appropriate amount of interest if it's March 1st. And remember, these bonds were paying interest on December 31st. And so that means that from December 31st to March 1st, that's 2 months of interest. So in order to account for that, we're going to take, again, the carrying value of our investment at the beginning of the year, 1/1, $987,566. We multiply that by the market rate of interest because that would determine my interest revenue, except I'm only wanting 2 months of it instead of a full year. That provides $16,459 of interest revenue. We're not going to receive cash until we sell it. So we hold over in an interest receivable account to accrue it, to accrue this revenue. The interest receivable is going to be equal to the payment, which is $95,000, but that's a full year's payment. And so we want to modify that so we only get a 2 months value of an annual payment. So the process is similar to what we've been doing at the end of the year. It's just that now we include an adjustment so that we only capture the amount of the year that we want. This sets the discount amortization because it's still the difference between the two. So the discount on the debt security is going to decrease by $716. Now, that records the interest accrual. Now, this is the actual sell. We have to get rid of the investment account, the debt security, AFS, whatever you want to call it. If you just want to call it credit investment, that's fine as well. It's at its face value of $1 million. We are also going to be, with selling this, recouping the interest that is due to us for holding this for 2 months. And so as we get paid for that interest, we wipe out the interest receivable account because the amount of cash we are paid is going to represent part of that. So remember, the cash that we're paid is going to be equal to what the market value of this item is. And I said that the price of those bonds were at $982,000 plus any interest that has accrued to that date. And so that sets the cash price that's going to be paid for these at $997,833. So remember, that is the market value, market price, and that is the interest accrued. Right. The final thing we need to figure out is, what is the discount account at now? Remember, the discount account was at $12,434. How do you get that? Well, remember, the discount is going to be the difference between the face value and what the carrying value of the security is. And at the beginning of the year, this was the carrying value. Turns out that the difference would be $12,434. So once again, remember that whole carrying value equals face value minus the discount, or face value plus the premium, is very useful. Okay. Now this discount has been altered. Remember, we amortized $716 of it, and then We finally have $11,718 of discount remaining. Well, when we sell it, we want to get rid of that. And then whatever the plug to get this to balance is will be our gain or a loss. In this case, we need a loss of $6,282 in order to make the journal entry balance. So that's just my plug. Finally, we got to reverse any amount that is in the security fair value adjustment account. Remember that was at a balance of $6,136. It was a credit balance, and so we're going to debit it to get rid of it. This will cause us to record an unrealized gain of $6,136. This is going to go to OCI. This loss, because it's realized, goes to net income. So that is how you handle the sale of a debt security. Like I said, a multi-step process, but one that makes sense if you've been keeping up along the while and you really just think about all of the accounts and processes that are involved in recording for these instruments. All right. You can do some additional of the casework as well after you've done this, but we'll look at a couple of sale of investments in class. Thank you very much.